Have you ever wondered which U.S. states have the widest population? Oops, I mean, the most snow covered? Well, today we're diving into the top 10 states where snow isn't the only thing that's white. Get ready for some fun facts and, of course, a touch of humor to keep things light. So, if you're curious to see if your state made the list or just want to learn something new while having a good time, stay with me until the end, because you might be surprised! Oh, and before we get started, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below with your guess for which state will take the #1 spot! State 10 North Dakota kicking off our list. We have North Dakota, where the population is so white that the sun might need sunglasses to avoid getting blinded! With over 84% of the population identifying as white, North Dakota is also known for its long winter nights and for being one of those states people tend to forget to mention. Heavily influenced by European culture, especially Norwegian and German, it's no surprise that North Dakota made this list. State 9 Vermont, Vermont, the land of green mountains, maple syrup, and, of course, a predominantly white population. Here, 86% of the population is fair-skinned. So, if you're visiting in winter, bring a scarf and sunglasses. Snow and skin reflection might be intense. Vermont is famous for its peaceful rural life and small towns. It's the kind of place where everyone seems to know each other, and they probably do. State 8 Iowa in 8th place. We have Iowa, where 86% of the population is white. And if you think Iowa is just corn and farms, well, you're not entirely wrong. But it's also home to a welcoming population, especially if you can talk about agriculture. Besides corn, Iowa also stands out for country music and a hint of an accent that makes anyone feel like they're in the heart of the U.S. State 7, Kentucky. The state where fried chicken has achieved world celebrity status is also the 7th whitest state in the U.S., with 86%, 5% of its population identifying as white. But don't be fooled, it's not just pale skin that shines here. Kentucky is home to the Kentucky Derby, one of the most famous horse races in the world. And if there's one thing residents know how to do, it's pairing extravagant hats with fast-riding horses. Besides horses and fried chicken, Kentucky is also known for being the place where bourbon flows freely. The state is responsible for producing over 95% of all the bourbon in the world. So, if you're visiting, you know the drill. In addition to sampling the famous chicken, you'll definitely want a taste of that aged bourbon. Speaking of traditions, the Kentucky Derby is practically the Super Bowl for horse lovers and hats. Every year, the elite and locals gather in Louisville, dressed to impress, or at least try while watching the horses race. If you think the excitement is only on the track, you're mistaken. The real competition is to see who wears the most extravagant hat. Here, style and racing go hand in hand, even if sometimes it's hard to tell who's running faster, the horses or the fashion. Now, when it comes to food, you can't forget Kentucky's fried chicken. You know that famous red bucket that travels the world? Yeah, it comes from here. But locals will tell you that the real fried chicken, the one worth licking your fingers for, doesn't come from any fast food chain. Local fried chicken recipes are passed down from generation to generation, and if you're lucky, you might get to taste a dish that would make Colonel Sanders smile from heaven. In addition to food and races, Kentucky also plays an important role in U.S. history. The state is known as the Lincoln State, being the birthplace of President Abraham Lincoln. And speaking of historical figures, Kentucky is famous for being the home of Muhammad Ali, one of the greatest boxers of all time. So, if you're a history buff, there's much more here than just bourbon and horses. As for the population, well, if you visit Kentucky, you'll notice that residents are as friendly as the mountains are green. Though 86%, 5% of the population is white, Kentucky's cultural roots are deeply influenced by southern U.S. music and traditions. Here, the banjo isn't just an instrument, it's practically a way of life. And if you're wondering how residents have fun, the answer is simple: rodeos, festivals, horse races, and of course, many family gatherings with mouth-watering homemade food. By the way, if you're invited to a Kentucky barbecue, get ready for an epic meal. And don't even think about turning down the pecan pie at the end. That might be considered a personal offense. Oh, and to top it all off, here is one last fun fact. Kentucky is home to the world's largest cave cemetery, Mammoth Cave National Park. These caves are so vast that you could get lost in them for days, but if you've got the right map, it can be one of the state's most fascinating adventures. Just don't expect to find fried chicken down there. Kentucky is full of history and is the perfect place if you love bourbon and warm biscuits fresh from the oven. State 6, Wyoming and Wyoming. The landscapes are as epic as the fair-skinned population, with 86! 6 of the population being white, Wyoming is the least populated state, but its people take up considerable space. And what a space! With its vast plains and mountains, Wyoming is more famous for cowboys than diversity, but it's the right place if you want to lose yourself in the immensity of nature. State 5, Idaho isn't just a state of potatoes. With 87 of the population identifying as white, you can bet potatoes aren't the only pale thing around here. And yes, everyone in Idaho really loves potatoes, and they're proud of it. If you're planning a visit to Idaho, make sure to stop by Boise, a surprisingly vibrant city for such an isolated state. State for Montana, big skies, majestic mountains, and a very white population. At 87, Kate, if you love vastness and serenity, Montana might be the place for you. Just don't forget your sunscreen if you go in the summer, because the sun shines without mercy. Montana has more cows than people, and when it comes to diversity, well, the cows probably win. State 3, New Hampshire, where 88 of the population is white, is famous for its forests and autumn leaves that get as colorful as the skin statistics aren't. It's a small state with big pride, especially when it comes to traditions. A state full of history, New Hampshire has a fitting motto: live free or die in attitude as clear as its population. State to West Virginia in second place. We have West Virginia. Here, 91 of the population is fair-skinned. If you love mountains and country music, this is your place. The nature is beautiful, and the accent, well, you'll either love it or need a dictionary. West Virginia is known for its Appalachian Mountains and for having one of the most unique accents in the U.S., more unique than its population diversity, it seems. State 1, Maine, and topping the list, with 93 of its population being white, is the state of Maine. With more lobsters than diversity, this is the whitest state in the U.S. in more ways than one. But for those who love nature, Maine is a paradise. And of course, the perfect place to indulge in endless seafood. Besides its incredible coastal scenery, Maine is the place for you if you love tranquility and the most starry nights you've ever seen. Those were the 10 whitest states in the U.S., each with its own culture, characteristics, and curiosities, proving that the United States is truly a diverse country. Or at least, in some places, not so much. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and comment on which state surprised you the most. And of course, share it with your friends so they can discover more fun facts about the U.S. See you in the next video!